Have you ever wondered if you're truly living wisely or if certain habits might be holding you back? In today's video, we're diving into 7 signs that might reveal whether you're embodying wisdom or unknowingly acting from a place of foolishness. We're not talking about intelligence here, but about how your choices, actions, and mindset shape the life you lead. Inspired by Stoic philosophy, we'll explore behaviors and traits that many of us, women included, might overlook. Habits that prevent growth, distort relationships, and block true wisdom. From the obsession with materialism to the failure to reflect on our actions, these signs are powerful reminders of where we might need to course correct. But here's the twist. This isn't about judgment. This is about introspection. The Stoics believe that wisdom is a daily practice, an ongoing journey that invites us to constantly assess how we live and whether we're truly aligning with our highest values. So are you ready to face some hard truths? To look deeper at your choices and ask, am I truly living with wisdom? Let's explore these 7 signs and see where you stand. You might be surprised by what you discover. Sign 1. Valuing looks more than living with depth. Imagine meeting someone whose appearance seems perfectly put together, every detail polished, every outfit curated, every social media post designed to impress. She moves with confidence, gets compliments with ease, and always knows her angles. From a distance, it all screams success. But spend enough time with her, and you notice the silence beneath the noise. There's little reflection, little depth. Her identity is stitched together by appearances, not principles. From a Stoic lens, this kind of vanity reveals a mind turned away from wisdom. Not because appearance doesn't matter, but because it has become a mask, hiding an unexamined life. The Stoics taught that our worth isn't in how we're seen, but in how we live. Marcus Aurelius urged us to look inward, reminding us that our life is what our thoughts make it. Who you are is forged in the quiet discipline of your actions, not the flash of your image. Yes, care for yourself. Wear what makes you feel strong. Let your appearance be a reflection of pride, not your foundation. The danger comes when image replaces essence, when a person invests more in being seen than in being good. To live that way is to chase shadows. The moment the lights fade or the compliments stop, the emptiness sets in. That is not strength. It's dependency wrapped in glamour. Because everything external, your youth, your audience, your physical appeal, can vanish without warning. And when that happens, what's left? The wise build on what endures. Honesty, kindness, discipline. The foolish build on mirrors and applause. A life spent pursuing admiration is a life lived in someone else's gaze, never your own. Stoicism teaches us that real beauty is in our actions. A kind word spoken in anger, integrity when no one is looking, courage in moments of fear. These are not traits you can capture in a filter. They're the legacy you leave behind. They don't fade with age, they strengthen with time. They aren't noticed in passing, they're felt in memory. I've seen it firsthand. I've met people who look like they have it all, yet feel hollow when they're alone. And I've met those who carry scars but radiate something untouchable, because their strength comes from within. That inner foundation, built through struggle and discipline, creates a kind of presence that no makeup or outfit ever could. The Stoics would ask, what are you training, your image or your soul? Every day is an opportunity to sharpen one or the other. The choice is yours. One path leads to fleeting praise, the other to lasting fulfillment. One leaves you dependent on admiration, the other leaves you free. So next time you're tempted to measure yourself by the mirror or the algorithm, stop. Ask, what would the version of me I respect do right now? Don't just dress like someone with worth. Become someone with worth. Your character is your armor. Your virtue, your voice, and your legacy, that's shaped by who you are when the spotlight goes out. Sign 2, refusing to own your life. Some women spend their whole lives waiting for someone to apologize, for life to be fair, or for circumstances to finally align. But Stoic philosophy doesn't leave room for that kind of waiting. It offers no comfort in blame, only power and ownership. The second sign of foolishness? refusing to take full responsibility for your life. It's easy to fall into the habit of outsourcing your hardships. If only my parents had raised me differently, or if only the world wasn't so harsh, becomes the background noise of your life. But the Stoics saw this as the fastest path to weakness. Every time you point outward, you surrender the only thing that's truly yours, your power to choose your response. A woman who avoids responsibility becomes stagnant. She hides behind complaints, hoping change will arrive on its own. She never questions her role in her patterns, never pauses to consider that her daily choices, not just her misfortunes, might be shaping her reality. And so she lives in reaction, not creation. Marcus Aurelius didn't speak in self-pity. He ruled an empire and still wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics never denied that life is painful. They simply refused to let that pain become an excuse. Consider the woman who feels stuck in a toxic relationship. She knows it's unhealthy, but continues to stay, convinced the other person must change first. Stoicism would say, the moment you see clearly, you're responsible, not for what others do, but for what you allow, tolerate, and choose. Responsibility isn't about control, it's about alignment. It's choosing to respond with courage, even when fear is present. It's choosing action over blame. Complaining is easy, so is waiting. What's difficult and rare is the decision to step up and take the reins, even when you're unsure what lies ahead. When you own your role in your life story, you reclaim the authority to edit it. Yes, circumstances can be cruel, but no situation is ever improved by blame. Growth begins the moment you say, "What can I do differently?" That shift from passive observer to active participant is the hallmark of a wise woman. It's not glamorous. In fact, it's often humiliating. You'll face parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. The procrastination, the excuses, the bad habits. But every moment of honest reflection clears the fog. And in that clarity, you'll find your strength. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. You don't have to take the weight of the world on your shoulders. You just have to take responsibility for your corner of it, your reactions, your choices, your voice. When you do, you'll stop waiting for permission to grow. You'll simply grow. The Stoics would tell you, if you want peace, stop negotiating with the past and start making better decisions in the present. Every excuse avoided is a small victory. Every honest step forward, a quiet revolution. And here's the truth most ignore. The more responsibility you take, the more powerful you become. Not in the eyes of the world, but in your soul. Because the woman who no longer waits for others to change is the woman who changes everything. So next time you feel stuck, ask yourself, not what others should do, but what you are willing to do differently. That's the question that turns resignation into resilience and complaint into quiet, steady action. Sign 3. Living for their approval, not your truth. There's a quiet kind of slavery many fall into without realizing it. The need to be liked, praised, accepted. In a world addicted to validation, this might seem normal, but from the Stoic perspective, it's a dangerous surrender of self. You second-guess your outfit, your words, even your dreams, all because you're afraid someone might disapprove. You hesitate to speak your truth, not because it's wrong, but because you worry it might ruffle feathers. That's not thoughtfulness. It's fear disguised as politeness. The woman who lives for others' opinions is never truly free. She molds herself to fit expectations, trims her edges to avoid critique, and waits for applause to feel worthy. But a life lived like that is not lived at all. It's performed. Stoic wisdom calls that kind of existence foolish, not to shame, but to wake us up. Because every time you need someone's approval to act, you're handing over your internal compass, and no one else is qualified to guide your soul but you. Being mindful of how you affect others is mature, but constantly twisting yourself to avoid being disliked, that's a betrayal of self. And the more you do it, the more distant you become from who you really are. You can't control how others interpret you. You can speak with clarity and kindness and still be misunderstood. You can act with integrity and still be criticized. The Stoics knew this, and they taught us to focus not on being admired, but on being principled. Ask yourself, would I still make this choice if no one ever saw it? Would I still believe this if it made me unpopular? Those are Stoic questions, questions that ground you in your own truth instead of letting you drift in the sea of other people's expectations. Living by your values might make you stand out. It might make others uncomfortable. That's okay. You weren't meant to be a reflection of the crowd. You were meant to be a reflection of your character. There's a kind of quiet peace that comes when you stop trying to win people over. You begin acting with clarity, not calculation. You speak from purpose, not performance. And even if fewer people applaud, more of your life starts to feel real. Strength doesn't always look like shouting your truth from rooftops. Sometimes it's the soft but firm decision to walk your own path, even when no one claps for it, especially then. And here's what often goes unnoticed. The more rooted you become in your own values, the more magnetic your presence becomes. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you're no longer trying at all. Authenticity has a gravity that imitation can never match. So next time you're tempted to play small to win someone's approval, pause. Remember, their opinion is a gust of wind. Your truth is a mountain. Stand on it. Sign 4. Letting emotions drive the wheel. We've all been there. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and suddenly your whole morning feels tainted. A partner forgets a small promise, and it spirals into an argument that lasts for days. This is more than frustration. It's emotional turbulence disguised as reaction. Think of your mind like a glass of water. When you're calm, the water is still and clear. But when you react impulsively, it's like shaking that glass. The sediment of anger, fear, or hurt clouds everything, making it impossible to see clearly. The Stoics never said to suppress emotion. In fact, they honored emotion as a part of the human experience. But they also knew that if emotions are left unchecked, they become the master, and reason becomes the servant. The wise woman doesn't avoid feeling. She simply refuses to be ruled by feelings. She doesn't explode over every inconvenience. She knows that how she responds is far more important than what initially happened. A foolish mind lashes out before it pauses. It sees offense in every word, betrayal in every delay, insult in every disagreement. The result? Damaged relationships, unstable moods, and constant inner chaos. Worse still, this emotional volatility starts to feel normal. The woman swept up in it blames others for setting her off, not realizing she has placed her peace in everyone else's hands. Imagine giving the keys to your emotional car to every person you meet. One honk, one glare, and they're steering you into anger, sadness, or regret. It sounds reckless, because it is. Life will always throw you curveballs. People will disappoint. Plans will unravel. But these external events are not responsible for your internal collapse. Reaction is a choice, always. That doesn't mean you deny what you feel. It means you slow down. You create a gap between emotion and expression. That gap, that's where self-mastery lives. When someone frustrates you, pause. When things go wrong, breathe. Ask yourself, is this feeling helping me respond wisely or just fueling my ego's fire? You'll start to notice most situations don't need an outburst. They need patience, perspective, and presence. Emotional restraint isn't weakness. It's wisdom dressed in discipline. And here's the deeper cost of instability. It ripples outward. Your partner tenses up. Your friends walk on eggshells. Your coworkers avoid hard conversations. You might not see it, but your storm clouds affect everyone in your orbit. Calmness, on the other hand, is magnetic. People trust a woman who holds herself together, who doesn't collapse under pressure or explode without cause. They feel safe in her presence, not because she's perfect, but because she's grounded. Start small. Recognize your triggers. Practice stillness. Ask better questions. And above all, remember that you are not your emotions. You are the observer of them. Choose how you show up. Progress, not perfection. There will be messy days, but every time you choose calm over chaos, you rewrite your story. One composed not by reaction, but by conscious response. In a world that equates loud with powerful, the woman who stays composed becomes unforgettable. Her presence commands attention, not because she shouts, but because she doesn't need to. So the next time you feel the storm rise, don't ask, "How do I let this out?" Instead ask, "How do I rise above it?" Because true strength isn't in force, it's in control. Sign 5. Materialism and greed. Consider the image of someone seemingly living the dream. Expensive designer clothes, a high-end car parked outside a stunning home, and the kind of vacations that seem like a glimpse into a magazine spread. From the outside, it's the picture of achievement. But if you look closely, you might notice a subtle emptiness behind the polished facade, something deeper than just the financial status. This is the trap of materialism. The idea that your worth comes from your belongings, from what you own, rather than who you are. The Stoics believe that being consumed by the chase for wealth, status, and things is a form of foolishness, not success. Why? Because all possessions are temporary. They deteriorate, lose value, or simply stop bringing joy as time goes on. The more you pursue them, the more they slip from your grasp, leaving you constantly seeking the next thrill or acquisition to fill the gap. It's an endless cycle. Acquire more only to find that the satisfaction is always just beyond reach. The person who believes that happiness comes from owning more ends up feeling constantly dissatisfied, as if they're chasing something that can never be caught. True prosperity, the Stoics would argue, comes from inner peace and a sense of purpose, not from the things you collect. A meaningful life isn't filled with possessions, but with purpose, wisdom, and tranquility. In modern times, materialism is often more subtle. It doesn't always show up as a thirst for things. Sometimes it's found in the desire for recognition, career success, or social status. You might not be seeking luxury, but you could be aiming for promotions, approval, or the appearance of being successful. Yet as soon as one goal is achieved, another appears, and the cycle continues. This isn't growth. It's a hunger that can never be satisfied. The Stoic path invites us to ask, am I pursuing this because it aligns with my values, or because I fear judgment from others? Breaking free from greed doesn't mean renouncing joy or comfort. It's about shifting your focus toward what truly enriches your life. The Stoics would often embrace voluntary simplicity, not as a punishment, but as a tool to reconnect with themselves and strengthen their resilience against the urge to constantly acquire more. By practicing restraint and appreciating what you already have, they found clarity and peace. You don't need to strip your life of possessions, but you can start by asking yourself what truly adds value to your existence and make room for more meaningful pursuits. Ask yourself, what do I truly appreciate in my life right now without needing more? Is this purchase coming from a place of genuine joy, or am I trying to cover up a deeper void? Does this possession contribute to a fuller, more meaningful life, or is it just a temporary distraction? When you stop tying your worth to what you own, something profound happens. You begin to feel lighter, more free, and more grounded in your true self, not in the image or possessions you project to the world. That's where true power lies, not in the things that define your image, but in the values that shape who you are and how you live. So if you're caught in the relentless pursuit of more, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what if the richest life I could live doesn't come from acquiring more, but from embracing simplicity and living in harmony with what truly matters to me? In the end, what people remember isn't the brand of your car or the designer of your clothes. It's the strength of your character, the depth of your values, and the impact of your presence. That's the kind of wealth that lasts. Sign 6, avoiding self-reflection and growth. One of the most dangerous signs of self-deception is avoiding the practice of self-reflection. The discomfort of looking inward can be so overwhelming that many choose to distract themselves instead. Without introspection, however, growth is impossible. And without growth, wisdom remains out of reach. It's easier to fill your days with distractions, social media, work, or mindless entertainment, than it is to pause and ask yourself the hard questions. Am I living according to my values? Am I making the choices that align with the person I want to become? A life lived without reflection is a life of unconscious repetition. You might feel like you're moving forward, but in reality, you're stuck in a loop, making the same mistakes over and over again, reacting in the same ways, and wondering why nothing ever feels different. This kind of foolishness is often quiet and subtle. It's not the loud mistakes, but the small, unnoticed ones, like the resistance to change, the unwillingness to face the truth about your habits, or the reluctance to take responsibility for your actions. The Stoics taught that self-reflection isn't about tearing yourself down. It's about understanding your behaviors and realigning your actions with your deeper values. It's about seeing your mistakes as opportunities for learning, not as failures that define you. True wisdom comes when you embrace your imperfections, not as something to be ashamed of, but as something to learn from. Every misstep is a lesson in disguise. Every failure a chance to grow stronger and more resilient. But self-reflection doesn't have to be a monumental, time-consuming process. It can start with simple moments each day, pausing at the end of the day to ask, what went well today? Where did I let fear control me? How can I approach tomorrow with more awareness and purpose? You can also reflect in the moment, especially when facing a tough decision or a challenging situation. Ask yourself, am I reacting out of habit or am I responding with intention? Or in the midst of conflict, am I responding with my values or with my emotions? Another powerful practice is seeking honest feedback from others. True growth doesn't come from praise, it comes from constructive criticism. Surround yourself with people who care enough to challenge you, even when the truth is difficult to hear. Remember, self-reflection is about progress, not perfection. It's not about eliminating flaws, but about becoming more self-aware so that you can make conscious choices that lead to growth. If you've been avoiding self-reflection, it's time to make a change. The next breakthrough in your life won't come from external accomplishments. It will come the moment you look inward and take responsibility for your own evolution. Embrace the discomfort of self-examination, and you'll find that it unlocks new possibilities for growth. Self-reflection is the key that opens doors to a life of authenticity, fulfillment, and true wisdom. The more you engage with this process, the clearer your path will become. The work of self-reflection allows you to become the person you are meant to be, one decision at a time. Sign 7. Talking more than listening. One of the easiest ways to reveal foolishness is through the constant urge to talk more than listen. In a world that rewards extroversion and loud voices, silence is often misunderstood as weakness. However, in Stoic philosophy, silence, thoughtful and intentional silence, is considered a profound mark of wisdom. The individual who speaks constantly feels compelled to dominate conversations, interrupt others, and offer unsolicited advice, all the while neglecting the true art of listening. Their focus lies on being heard rather than understanding those around them. This behavior may seem like confidence, but beneath it often lies insecurity and a deep-seated fear of being overlooked. The misguided belief that speaking equals power blinds them to the greater strength that comes from quiet reflection and listening. In truth, the person who cannot listen to others is the one who stops growing. They remain stuck in their own ideas and beliefs, never allowing themselves to be challenged, broadened, or changed by the perspectives of others. The Stoics argued that growth begins with humility, and humility begins with listening. True listening is not about hearing words passively. It's an active process of being present and engaging fully with the speaker, with the intent to understand rather than respond. A woman who listens intently to others doesn't seek validation or approval through her words. Instead, she recognizes that the most powerful moments are those of stillness and attention, where understanding and connection can flourish without interruption. Conversely, those who constantly talk may appear charismatic, but they often struggle with forming meaningful, long-lasting connections. People may smile and nod, but they feel unheard. And over time, this can create emotional and relational distance. Learning to listen is a practice in patience and discernment. It's not about giving up your voice, but about knowing when to speak and when to allow others their moment. True listening means embracing silence and resisting the urge to fill every gap with your own thoughts or opinions. To develop this skill, start by observing your natural reactions. When someone else speaks, are you mentally preparing your response, or are you truly absorbing what they are saying? Do you interrupt, or do you offer space for others to share fully? You can also practice intentional listening by sitting with someone and listening deeply, without rushing to advise or fix. Sometimes the most powerful way to show support is to simply be present and hear them without offering an immediate response. Additionally, learning to listen to your own inner voice can deepen your wisdom. It's not the voice of insecurity, but the quiet, steady voice of intuition that can guide you toward deeper understanding, clarity, and direction. In the end, talking more than listening is more than a mere social behavior. It represents a barrier to connection and growth. It keeps you disconnected from others and from the wisdom that comes with truly understanding the world around you. The woman who talks all the time may gain fleeting attention, but the one who listens with intent and empathy earns respect, insight, and lasting relationships. So ask yourself, when did I last listen fully? When did I choose silence? Not because I had nothing to say, but because I wanted to learn more. Because it's in those moments of quiet, in those pauses, that the most profound wisdom can be heard. And only those who know how to listen can truly understand the world and themselves. So, how did you do? Did any of these signs hit close to home? Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about awareness and growth. The Stoic path is all about progress, not beating yourself up, but learning and evolving each day. If you noticed areas where you can improve, don't worry. Just take the next step toward living with more wisdom and purpose. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on Stoic philosophy and personal growth. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What signs stood out to you the most? And remember, true wisdom comes from self-awareness and the courage to change. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay wise, stay intentional.